Talk show, music by DJ Piper, special guest DJ Ranking Murder. All celebrations welcome. Call Sarah on 07958338564 or Blaze on 07956548781. Karaoke available after Friday 17th of July. Wembley.
Go to www.sovereigncomics.co.uk and get your latest issue of Mr. Numbervator's Maths comic book series today. You are now tuned into the Mr. Numbervator show every Wednesday from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. on Chalk Hill Community Radio Station. Let's get mathematical.
Hello, good evening and welcome. It is exactly 5:30. It's Wednesday, and you know what that means. I always start my show the same way. It means it's the math show live on Chalk Hill Community Radio Station with me in the hot chair. So every Wednesday between the hour of 5:30 to 6:30, we've got one whole hour of maths. Exciting, engaging, relevant, purposeful, meaningful. What else can I say? It is just absolutely amazing. Now, people always say, oh, how can maths be so exciting? I'm proving everyone wrong. Maths is very, very exciting. And maths is for everyone. And I believe that everyone can do maths. So tonight's show is about simultaneous equations. Now, simultaneous equations are equations which scare a lot of people, young people, and even adults. But simultaneous equations are really quite simple, okay? It should have been simultaneous equations, because once we get to the end of today's show, you will love simultaneous equations. Simultaneous equations will come alive, and simultaneous equations will mean so much more to you, and you will really engage, and you will really enjoy. So today's show, simultaneous equations, and it's aimed at giving you confidence, it's aimed at giving you knowledge, it's aimed at giving you that confidence and that security and that swagger when it comes to maths and number. Before I start the show, I've got some number facts to read out to you, okay? I've got some number facts to read out to you, and I've got some number facts to read out to you, and what it's about the fact that numbers are everywhere. Numbers are everywhere, and we want you to appreciate numbers being everywhere. So, did you know that there are 195 countries in the world? Okay, now there are some areas that have not been assigned or recognized as countries, but the recognized countries by the United Nations is 195, and next year it will be 196. That's going to be quite interesting. So there's 195 countries, and we've got number of United Nations member countries is 193. So 2 of the 195, they haven't got that, They haven't got that qualification as being a country, but we do still recognize them as a country. There are 54 countries in Africa. Ghana is one of them. I'm from Ghana. I'm wearing my Ghana outfit today. So 54 countries in Ghana, 48 countries in Asia, 44 countries in Europe, 12 countries in South America. This is amazing. You know, this is just amazing. Number of bones in the human body, 206 bones in the human body. Number of planets in our solar system, there's 8. How many days are there in a leap year? 366, 365 days in a normal year. There are 1,000 years in a millennium. There are 24 time zones around the whole world. There are 50 states in the USA. And yeah, can you imagine all of these numbers? They mean so much. They just mean so much. So I wanted just to start the show by just sharing that numbers are everywhere. We don't often realize when we talk about numbers, but numbers are everywhere. So I've given you some information there. The one that I like to use a lot is 195 countries in the world. How many of those 195 countries can you name? And how many of the 195 flags can you recognize? I know I'm going to struggle getting past about 10 or 12, but I'll give it my best shot. Anyway, on with today's show that I've called Simultaneous Equations. And I'm going to call it Simultaneous Equations, because by the end of today's show, you are going to love simultaneous equations. So I'm going to start off the show by explaining exactly what simultaneous equations are and how, what sense you can make of them. Okay, right. What are simultaneous equations? I can give you an equation like 3a plus 2b equals 17. That is what we call a linear equation. And I would have to give you a value for a and a value for b, and then you'll be able to work out an answer, okay? So 3a plus 2b equals 17. I'll give you a number to work it out. Now, when we talk about simultaneous equations, in English, the word simultaneous means doing two things at the same time. So when we talk about simultaneous equations, we've got two or more mathematical equations that share the same unknown variables like x and y, a and b, s and t, and so on. But I'm going to come on to variables and other parts that you need to know, okay? So simultaneous equations, you're solving two equations at the same time. Now, there are some key words that I'm going to be using this afternoon as I am describing, talking about, and teaching about simultaneous equations. So I'm going to read these words out to you in case you want to write them down, because these are words that pertain, these are words that have real meaning and significance when we're solving simultaneous equations. So I'm going to be using the word identify. I'm going to be using the word isolate. I'm going to be using the word elimination. I'm going to be using the word manipulation or manipulate. I'm going to be using the word substitution. Okay, I'm going to read those words out to you again. Identify, isolate, eliminate, manipulate, and substitution. So these are words that are very, very important when it comes to understanding about simultaneous equations. And I'm going to say it again, I'm going to call them simultaneous equations because they are quite straightforward. And by the end of today's show, you will have a much better understanding of simultaneous equations. And you know what? You're going to start to enjoy them. You're going to start to enjoy the challenge of simultaneous equations. So, simultaneous equations. Let me give you an example of a pair of equations. So remember, a pair is two. And I'm going to give you these two equations, and then that means we've got a pair, that means we've got simultaneous equations, okay? Now, once again, before I start going into the actual teaching and learning, there is a couple of words that I want to introduce as well to you, yeah? I want to introduce the word coefficient, and I want to introduce the word to you variable, okay? Now, these are two words which are really, really important when it comes to looking at, recognizing, and solving and playing about with simultaneous equations. I'm going to use the word playing about because I want you to feel at ease to play about with simultaneous equations, solving equations, but making it fun. So when we talk about coefficient, if I say to you 3x, the number 3 is the coefficient, okay? The number 3 is the coefficient, and the x is the variable. So the number 3 in 3x is the coefficient, and the x, which is always lowercase, it's like a placeholder. The x is the variable. The variable, it shows how much of a variable you have got. So the coefficient shows how much of a variable you have got. And the coefficient, which is the number, let's say 3x, the 3 is the coefficient, is to the left of the variable. So if you've got 3x, x is the variable, and the coefficient is the number that is next to the left of the variable. And that shows you how much of a variable you have. It's like it multiplies the variable. Now the variable is a letter of the alphabet, usually X, Y. It could be A, B, it could be ST, it could be any letter of the alphabet, or indeed it could even be a symbol. But usually we use letters of the alphabet, like 3x and 2y, and so on and so on. So when you hear me speaking about the coefficient, it's the number that comes before the letter, and the letter is the variable. Variable comes from the word vary, because I can choose to vary what letter I use. So usually the most common ones is X and Y, but it can be other letters of the alphabet. And it can be a symbol, but it's rarely the symbol, but it's usually the letter of the alphabet. So now you know the difference between coefficient, the number that comes before the variable, and you know what the variable is. So if I say to you 3x, 3 is the coefficient and x is the variable. So I'm going to give you an example of simultaneous equation, okay? I'm going to read it out to you twice. 3a plus 2b equals 17, and 4a subtract b equals 30. So let me say it again. 3a plus 2b equals 17. That's one equation. And my other equation, my second equation underneath, is 4a subtract b equals 30. And what we're trying to do is we are working out, we are identifying, we are looking for unknown values of the variable. That's what we're basically looking at. That's what we're looking at when we're looking at simultaneous equations, yeah? And when it comes to simultaneous equations, I mentioned the word identify. We straight away, when I read out the simultaneous equation to you, it's about which unknown has the same coefficient. If there's two variables that haven't got the same coefficient, we have to do something. And remember, a common coefficient is needed to solve simultaneous equations, regardless of the sign that comes before the coefficient. So let me read these two out to you again. 3a plus 2b equals 17. 4a subtract b equals 30. Now I've emphasized plus 2b and I've emphasized minus b because they are the two signs which play a very, very integral, purposeful role in simultaneous equations. By the way, you can also solve simultaneous equations by using the graph method. Okay, you can solve simultaneous equations graphically, and that's for another lesson. And I think that is actually quite exciting because when you're looking at two lines and where they cross over, it's really exciting. It's really exciting. When you're solving simultaneous equations graphically, a lot of students seem to like solving simultaneous equations graphically because it's extremely visual, and where the two lines cross over, that gives you the values of the x and y. But do you know what? This is what makes maths so much fun. This is what makes maths so much fun. And let me go back to it again. Simultaneous equations is, for me, simultaneous equations, because I don't want anyone to think, oh, I can't do simultaneous, it's too difficult. No. Give me 40 minutes, give me this show, and you will start to love, enjoy solving simultaneous equations. So I've given you 3a plus 2b equals 17 and 4a minus b equals 30. If I take my first equation, 3a, 3 is the coefficient, a is the variable, plus, which is really important, the sign, 2b, 2 is the coefficient, b is the variable, equals 17. So in that one equation, we've got two coefficients, 3, 2, 17. I don't want to get into the discussion about 17 as being a coefficient, but it is a number. So just look at it as a number, yeah? In the second equation, I've got 4a. So 4 is the coefficient, a is the variable, minus b. Now, when we talk about the letter on its own, it's like 1. So I could put 1b, but as you're being taught with equations, you don't have to put the number 1. If the letter's on its own, we assume that there's only one of them. So 4a, 4 is the coefficient, a is the variable, minus b, b is the variable. If you want the coefficient, then it would be 1, equals 30. So I'm just trying to get you to understand the difference between variable, and coefficient. Right, so we're going to solve that simultaneous equation. Now, before we start to solve the simultaneous equation, I've got an acronym. I have got an acronym, and believe me, once you understand, master, and use this acronym with simultaneous equations are going to become even more exciting, more juicy, more purposeful, more meaningful. Believe me, that is what is going to happen. Okay? And later on in the show, I'm going to give you an example of if I was a shopkeeper and I sell coffee and I sell scones, I want to know the best price to sell my scones and my coffees. And we can use simultaneous equations to help us do that. Yes. So simultaneous equations has got its real life application and use. And on the maths show, this is what the maths show is all about. It's about bringing maths to you, making maths purposeful, real, making it exciting, making it manageable. So DASS, an acronym for D for different, A for add, S for same, and the last S for subtract. Different, add, same, subtract. Now, remember when I spoke about the symbol that went before the 3a and that went before the 2b and the minus b? Okay, so we had plus 2b and minus 2b. We need to know the acronym and how to use it. So with plus 2b and minus b, they are different signs. So if the signs are different, we're going to do some addition with the equations. And if the signs are the same, we're going to do some subtraction with the equations. So can you see, I've spoken to you about DASS. Now, someone's asking me, they're not too sure what acronym is. Right. If I say to any young person, let's say between 8 and 18, if I say, I'm taking you to KFC, they will know exactly where we're going. K for Kentucky, F for fried, C for chicken. But we say KFC because it is an acronym. So an acronym is where we use a letter to replace the initial letter of the actual word. So KFC, K for Kentucky, F for fried, and C for chicken, Kentucky Fried Chicken, KFC. The same thing for BIDMAS. BIDMAS in math, BIDMAS. B for brackets, I for indices, D for division, M for addition, M for multiplication, sorry, A for addition, and S for subtraction. Let me repeat myself. B for brackets, I for indices, D for division, M for multiplication, A for addition, and S for subtraction. So BIDMAS is an acronym for what I've just said. You've got PO. If you're looking at maps and map reading, PO stands for post office. If I say I'm taking you to MacD's, all of you will go, yeah, Mr. Numbervator, let's go to McDonald's. You know where MacD's, you know what MacD's is. You're used to hearing MacD's. These are all acronyms for the longer words. And with simultaneous equations, the acronym that you must remember is DASS, different, add, same, subtract. And that refers to the sign, the symbol that comes before the coefficient in your simultaneous equation. So I've given you 3a plus 2b equals 17. And then my second equation is 4a subtract b equals 30. So the sign that goes in front of the 2b is addition. And the sign that goes in front of the b, which is really 1b, is subtraction. Now, those two signs are different. So because they're different, we do something else. We were going to add the equations. If they were the same, then we would subtract our equations. Okay, so let's get on with solving this equation. Okay, now when we talk about solving different equations, it means we want to get the value. We want to get a value of the x, which is the variable, and the y, which is also the other variable. Okay, so here's an equation that we're going to solve live on the radio, on Chalker Community Radio Station today, because people have always said to me, how can you teach simultaneous equations on the radio? Well, I've just given you lots and lots of information about simultaneous equations, and already I've got 8 messages telling me about they didn't know DASS as an acronym. They didn't understand about the words identify, isolate, eliminate, manipulate, and substitute. It's because I'm opening up. I'm making maths accessible. And that's why I've chosen to start my session today by explaining coefficient, variable, DASS, X and Y, and using these words so that you understand what they mean. Simultaneous equations, you need a minimum of 2 equations to have simultaneous equations. So now you've all got a better understanding of what simultaneous equations look like and what they mean. Right, write this next simultaneous equations down. Okay, write this new one down, because we've used the 2x, we've used the 3a plus 2b. That was just an example. Now we're going to solve. Some simultaneous equations on the radio this afternoon live. And this is what makes the math show. Most people write it on the board. No, your ears, our listening skills, our receptive listening skills, okay? Our assimilation and accommodation of information, of knowledge. This is what this math show is all about. Not everyone likes to write things down. That can put some people off. But when you're listening, and then you've got someone like me explaining clearly and slowly and succinctly, it makes maths so attractive. So here's the next equation. 2x minus 5y equals 16. And 3x plus 2y equals 5. So in this simultaneous equation, we've got 2x, so 2 is the coefficient, x is the variable, minus 5y, 5 is the coefficient, and y is the variable. And my second equation is 3x plus 2y equals 5. 3 is the coefficient, x is the variable, so it has to be the same as the other x. And then 2y, 2 is the coefficient, and y is the variable. Now, what symbols come before the 5y and the 2y? We've got a negative and we've got a positive. So that means those two symbols, those two signs are different. Right. When I gave you those words at the beginning of the show, I said to you, identify, isolate, eliminate, manipulate, substitute. We've identified the letters X and Y. Okay, we've identified the letters. Our variables are X and Y. Right. We need to make the variables and the coefficients, we need to make them the same. We need to make the coefficients the same because we have to have common coefficients in order to solve the simultaneous equations. Okay, so I'm looking at 2x minus 5y equals 16, 3x plus 2y equals 5. Right, I'm looking at 2x and 3x, okay? X comes before y in the alphabet, so I'm going to choose to make the x's look the same. And then once we've got them looking the same, we can eliminate them. Then once we've eliminated them, we can work out the y. Then we can use the value of y to work out what the value of the x's were in the simultaneous equations. This is what makes maths, for me and for you, so exciting. So 2x, and we've got 3x. So I'm going to go through my times tables, and I'm going to go through my multiples of 2 and my multiples of 3. And I'm going to look for the lowest common multiple for 2 and 3. And that is 6. So to get from 2x to 6x, I'm going to have to multiply that whole equation by 3. And to get 3x to also be 6x by timesing by 2, I'm going to multiply the second equation, the whole second equation, by 2. So my 2x subtract 5y equals 16 now becomes 6x minus 15y equals 48. Why? Because we want to make 2x into 6x and the 3x also into 6x. So now I've got 6x minus 15y equals 48. And then my second equation, I've also now got 6x plus 4y equals 10. How? Because I've multiplied my 3x by 2 to get another 6x. So I've multiplied the whole equation by 2. 2 times 3x is 6x. 2 times 2y is 4y. And 2 times 5 is 10. So now I've got 6x minus 15y equals 48. And 6x plus 4y equals 10. I'm going to eliminate because I don't need the 6x and the 6x. So remember that word I said to you, identify, isolate, eliminate. We've done the first two words. Now we're going to eliminate. We're going to get rid of the 6x and the 6x. So now we are left with minus 15y equals 48 and plus 4y equals 10. Now remember what DASS stands for, D-A-S-S. Different, add, same, subtract. Now we've got a negative number and we've got a positive number. So because we've got negative 15 and we've got positive 4y, I'm going to add those two numbers together. Now be very careful. I'm going to add them together. So I'm going to have minus 15 Okay, remember, I'm going to add them together. Minus 15, minus 15 and plus 4y. And because we're adding, it's going to be minus 15 minus 4y. So we're going to get minus 19y equals 38. So now we've got minus 19y equal, and we've got positive, and a negative and a positive equals a negative. A positive and a negative equals a negative. So you need to know your rules. That can be another lesson. Just let me know, okay? So now we've got minus 19y equals 38. So minus 19y equals 38. We're going to get the value of y. And when we do our calculation, y has got a value of negative 2. Okay, y will equal negative 2 because we're going to bring it onto the other side. So 38 minus 38 divided by minus 19 is minus 2. So y has got a value of minus 2. So now we're going to use that value of y and we're going to substitute it back into either of those two equations to find the value of x. So I'm going to take the first one, 3x plus 2y equals 5, yeah? I'm going to use that one. 3x plus 2y equals 5, yeah? I'm using that one. So I'm going to substitute the value of y into that equation. So now I've got 3x plus, remember, it's 2 times 2y. So it's 3x minus 4 is equal to 5. Yeah, because remember, y equals negative 2. So 2 times negative 2 is negative 4, and that equals 5. So now I've got 3x subtract 4 equals 5. I'm going to start moving my coefficients and numbers around. It's going to be 3x is equal to 9, because the negative 4 is going to go to the other side of the 5. So 3x equals 9. X equals 9 divided by 3. So x equals 3. So y equals negative 2 and x equals 3. This is what simultaneous equations allows us to do. Okay, so I've taken you through step by step on how to solve simultaneous equations live on the radio. That's unheard of. And remember, DASS, different, add, same, subtract. Different, add, same, subtract. We're going to go for a short ad break. And when we come back after our ad break, I want to do a question with you. And as I said earlier, I'm going to pretend that I've got my own cafe. And in my cafe, I sell tea, coffee, I'm just looking at scones, those lovely rock cakes, and I'm going to sell my coffee. And I want to know how much to sell my scones and my coffees for. I'm going to use simultaneous equations to help me. And that's what we're going to do after the short ad break. So don't go too far. It's going to be a really exciting second part of the math show with me, Mr. Numbervator, on Chalk Hill Community Radio Station. And I've also got some exciting news to do with Wimbledon and the Lawn Tennis Association, LTA. See you shortly.
your community.
This is more than just radio. It's a chance to make a difference.
I mean, when I start, check to see if you can hear it.
Sharing experiences, shaping health, advocacy, and making sure your voice is heard where it matters most.
Want to be part of the conversation? Join us. Share your story and let's create change together.
College bathing and children.
Can you hear it? I can hear it.
Your voice, your power, your future.
Will it come through? Does it? Yeah, will it come through?
07 956 548 78.
If you or someone you love is living with cancer, you don't have to do this alone. Support, understanding, and community starts here.
I'm in a space where my journey is understood.
Where culture, support, and healing come together.
The SEARO Project is a safe space for African and Caribbean individuals to share, connect, and find strength in each other. This is more than support. It's healing together.
Don't wait. Join the conversation today. Reach out to the SEARO Project.
Go to www.sovereigncomics.co.uk and get your latest issue of Mr. Numbervator's Maths comic book series today. You are now tuned into the Mr. Numbervator show every Wednesday from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. on Chalk Hill Community Radio Station. Let's get mathematical.
Welcome back after that short ad break. I've got some exciting news to share with you. And I did mention at the beginning of the show, at the top of the show, about the Lawn Tennis Association, the LTA. And at the moment now, we've got Wimbledon, haven't we? The famous Wimbledon. Where we've had Serena Williams, we've had Tim Henman, we've had so many amazing tennis players over the years. Boris Becker, Bjorn Borg, I could go on and on and on and name them all. Arthur Ashe. Okay, well, the Lawn Tennis Association is it's a national governing body for tennis in Great Britain. LTA stands for the Lawn Tennis Association, and they are the national governing body for tennis in Great Britain. And they are responsible for promoting tennis at all levels in Great Britain. Now, I went on a conference, and there were different agencies and different organisations who were all there, and it was all about what can we give our young people. There was a lot of maths, obviously that's why I was there, but it was about other organisations who are supporting the advancement and the development for our young people. And I spoke to a lovely, lovely lady called Amanda, and I said I've got my radio show. And she said, "Oh, well, how about if I donate some tennis rackets and balls as prizes for the young people who call into your show, and then that can be their prize, and that can be another way of promoting tennis in Great Britain with our young people." So they have donated 5 sets, and in one set you get a racket and you get a ball. They've donated 5 sets of high quality tennis racket and ball sets, and they're free. So I'm going to be giving them out as free prizes when next week we have the return of our famous Times Table Challenge. Yes, next week we are going to return to the famous Times Table Challenge. And there's going to be 5 winners. 5 winners. It's going to be absolutely amazing. Dean, you're in for a tough time next week. There's going to be 5 winners. The top 5 quickest, fastest times who answer 20 questions in the shortest time. The top 5 young people are going to win one of those prizes. And it's going to be an amazing prize. So, listen out or look out for your teacher between now and next week, because I'll be sending information out to the schools, and then you can start to prepare yourself for your multiplication tables check quiz. on Chalk Hill Community Radio Station. And the top 5 young people who can answer 20 questions in the shortest time are going to win one of these special free tennis racket and ball sets from the LTA, which stands for the Lawn Tennis Association, who are the national governing body for tennis in Great Britain, and they are responsible for promoting tennis at all levels in the country. So listen out, speak to your teachers, hassle your teachers, because it could be you. And why can't it be you? I want it to be you. Okay, call in. And if you think the times tables are too easy for you, I'm also going to have some maths questions. So you can say to me, I want to answer the maths questions, or I want to answer the times tables questions. Either way, if you do it in the fastest time, you will win one of the 5 sets, the 5 tennis racket and ball sets donated by the Lawn Tennis Association, known as LTA. And we're doing it because it's Wimbledon season. And you've all heard of Wimbledon, and you've all seen the famous strawberries and creams, all the celebrities and dignitaries going to sit in their boxes and watch the tennis and everything. Why can't we give it to you, young people? Back on with tonight's show. Simultaneous equations, right. I'm going to imagine I've got my own cafe. And in my cafe, I sell coffee, I sell scones, I sell other things, but I'm just looking at scones and coffee, yeah? And I want to know the maximum price to sell them at. So here's what I'm thinking, yeah? I'm thinking two scones, coffees, £18, and or 3 scones and 2 coffees for £22. Which one will give me more value for money? So 2 scones and 2 coffees will cost £18, or is it 3 scones and 2 coffees will cost £22? Dean, what do you think? Would you pay 2 scones and 2 coffees for £18, or do you think 3 scones and 2 coffees for £22?
I'll just go for the £18.
Dean's going, why are you going for the £18? Because it's less money.
Yeah.
But it might not be value for money. But that's the reason why we can use simultaneous equations to help us. So here we go. We're going to solve a real life problem question on the radio. Now you already know about a coefficient and variables. So I'm keeping X and Y. You know about identify, isolate, eliminate, manipulate, substitute. Do you know all about that? You know DASS, which stands for different, add, same, subtract. You know what an acronym is, like KFC, Post Office, PO, McDonald's, and so on, big maths. Let's solve this equation. So I'm going to represent, so X is going to be for the scones, and Y is going to be for the coffees. So my first equation, I said, is 2 scones and 2 coffees equals £18. That's going to now read 2x plus 2y equals £18. And my second equation to solve is 3x, because I said 3 scones and 2 coffees equals £22. It's now going to be 3x plus 2y equals £22. So which one gives me better value? Which combination gives me better value for money? That's what we're going to solve now. Right, now I said to you 2x plus 2y equals 18 and 3x plus 2y equals 22. In maths, we always usually put the bigger number on top. So I'm just going to swap those two equations around. So now I've got 3x plus 2y equals £22 and 2x plus 2y equals £18. Now remember the acronym that I gave to you, different, add, same, subtract. Right, if I look at the symbols that I've got, the signs that I've got, I have got plus 2y and I've got plus 2y again. So I've got plus 2y and I've got plus 2y again. So that means, going back to the acronym, different, add, same, subtract. That means I'm going to subtract the smaller equation from the bigger one because the symbols, the signs are the same. Plus 2y plus 2y. So we've got 3x plus 2y equals 22, and 2x plus 2y equals 18. 3x subtract 2x equals x. The 2y and the 2y are going to be eliminated because they're the same. So we can eliminate them. And 22 subtract 18 equals 4. So now, now we know that x equals 4. So therefore, one scone costs £4. So Dean was talking about his scones. He wanted the £18. So that means 2 times 4 is 8. So now we need to work out how much one coffee costs. So now we're going to substitute 4 for x. And when we do that, okay, when we do that, we can use any of the equations. So let's use the first one. Let's use the first one again. 2x plus 2y equals 18. We know that x equals 4. Okay, so now, now we're going to have 4 plus 2y equals 18. 4 plus 2y, because x equals 4, and we've got 2 lots of x's, so we're going to have 2 times 2 is 4, so we're going to have 4 plus 2y equals 18. I'm going to bring my 4 onto the other side of the equal sign, and it becomes a negative. So now I've got 2y equals 14. Okay, 2y equals 14. And so now y is equal to 14 divided by 2. So that means y equals 7. Y equals 7. Okay. Oh, there's a mistake. Oh, there's a mistake. X equals 4. So 2 times 4 equals 8. Not that. See how easy it is to make a mistake in maths. So 2 times 4 is 8. So it's 8 plus 2y equals 18. So now we're going to bring the 8 onto the other side. So we're going to have 18 subtract 8, which equals 10. So now we've got 2y equals 10. So y equals 10 divided by 2. So y equals 5. So that means one coffee is £5 and one scone is £4. So let's go back to what Dean said. Dean said he wanted the first one, which is the one for £18. 2x, so that's 2 times 4 is 8. 8 plus 2 times 5, which is 10. 8 plus 10 equals 18. And then we've got 3x. 3 times 4 is 12. And 12 plus 10 equals 22. So which one gives us better value for money? Dean, are you sure you still want to have your 2 scones and 2 coffees for £18? Or do you want to have your 3 scones and 2 coffees for £22? For £22.
Yeah.
You still sticking with your original. You're sticking with his original one. But this is how shops decide on the best price to charge us, their customers. So using simultaneous equations has got its real life practical purpose. Okay, we can use simultaneous equations to help us. Okay, and this is what makes maths so much fun and makes it so exciting, because it's not just learning simultaneous equations just for the benefit of it, just because you have to, because it's in the curriculum. I like my students and young people to understand the purpose. Why am I teaching you simultaneous equations? Why am I teaching you simultaneous equations? And for me, that is, oh, here we go. Wow. That is amazing. Oh, wow. Okay. I've got some information. Well, last week, let me just come away from the maths at the moment. Last week we had work experience students who came into the studio, and they interviewed me, I interviewed them, and they asked some counsellors some questions. One of the work experience students has just sent me an email to say that he's been in contact with one of the counsellors, and the counsellor has given him a connection to do some actual real work experience in a bit. Oh my gosh. This is the power of Chalk Hill Community Radio Station. It is about keeping the community connected. Wow, Jay, thank you for the email. And I'm going to respond to your email after the show. That is amazing news. And thank you, Councillor Trevor Blackman, for reaching out to Jay and helping and supporting him. That's made my evening. That is why we have the math show. That is why Dean and myself, for the last 2-3 years, every Wednesday, we're in the studio. Dean is making sure that the recording goes out. He's making sure that everything is collated properly. If anything goes wrong, Dean is on hand. You know, Dean's value, you can't put a value on what he does. But we do it because we enjoy doing it. And when we get emails like this, it makes it more worthwhile. Because even if it's one person that we've been able to affect, now we know it's hundreds, but one person has emailed me during the math show to tell me the good news. So Jay, I will be in contact with you and I'm going to reply to your email. And once again, thank you, Councillor Trevor Blackman, for lending your support and directing Jay and helping him. And he just feels so good about what you've just done for him. So thank you, Councillor Trevor Blackman and Councillor D'Souza, who was also here last week, who's helping me to get a visit to the Civic Centre in Wembley. Right, okay, look, we've come to the end of the math show. Can I just promote and just remind you all what's happening next week? Next week is the return of the maths quiz. So we're going to get the leaflets out ASAP, Dean, yeah? So that all the schools can be given them. And there are 5 Lawn Tennis Association tennis racket and ball sets to be given out to 5 young people next week. It's a maths quiz. So those young people who can answer questions in the shortest time, the top 5 shortest times will win one of the rackets and tennis ball sets donated very kindly by Amanda at the Lawn Tennis Association, the LTA, and that's coinciding with Wimbledon that's happening in Southwest London right at the moment. Right at this moment now, there's tennis going on. Could be centre court, court number 1, I don't know. But there's real tennis going on now as we're having the math show. Thank you very much to everyone for tuning in and sending me your lovely message and the balloons and the thumbs up. It's great that you're interacting with me. Simultaneous equations, simple tennis equations now. They're not that bad, are they? If you remember, different add, same subtract, the difference between coefficients and variables. Remember those words: identify, isolate, eliminate, manipulate, and substitute. Once you've got that going, you will know what to do, and simultaneous equations will be so easy. Please send me your feedback. Another message, please send me your feedback. If you want more about simultaneous, or indeed if you want quadratic equations, let me know. But next week is the return of the famous math quiz. 5 prizes donated very kindly by the LTA, which is an acronym for the Lawn Tennis Association. So 5 of you next week will win one of these sets each. It's going to be really exciting. Dean's going to have his stopwatch ready, because I know we're going to have lots of young people calling in. You've got a choice of the multiplication table, 20 of those questions, or 20 number questions based on general maths questions. That's going to be for you next week. And don't think I'm going to give the same people the same questions. No. They're going to be different. So you can't just listen into the first round and then think you're going to get the answers. No, there'll be different questions for each different person. Have a great evening. Thank you, parents. Thank you for all your support. Thank you to the Lawn Tennis Association. Thank you to Councillor Trevor Blackman and Councillor D'Souza at Brent. Thank you for all the help that you're doing and give the support. that you're giving. And I very much look forward to it. I can't wait. It's going to be off the scale. The phone is going to be popping. It's going to be absolutely brilliant. Get ready. See you next week. Thank you. Have a great weekend. Don't forget, enjoy the football. England's playing on Saturday, I believe, at 9 o'clock. I'm not going to get into who's going to win, who's not going to win, who's going to score, who's not going to score, but it's on Saturday. Have a great evening. Thank you and see you. Bye-bye.